I do want to check out the Kai debate. That's going to be fun. Did you see Cookie King got caught giving foot massages? I did not see that. I saw his leaked messages or whatever that he turned into merch. That was kind of funny. I did not see the foot massage thing, though. Viper General Ali Jamal.
Algo te va a pasar a donde no lo vas a poder hacer, entonces
Yo,
mi
let's
cerebro
fucking
no
go.
me cuenta hasta que ya lo hice y no puedo hacer nada más con eso.
Bueno, nos vemos en Cannes.
¿En serio?
Colombia, te amo.
Increíble, gracias. Encontrame, en serio.
Sí, no,
Sos
yo te
divina.
busco, te busco.
W Spanish. Okay. More content. Okay, let's dive into it. Check the box here, see if there's anything else. When a whole police station gets hijacked. No.
Northwest sent $5 W later streams.
Thank you, Northwest. I appreciate the 5, buddy. W Northwest. AB like Northwest if you're hanging out. Power Jet Live, Touchdown, Russell, or Sports Stream with kick subs or kicks. Yeah, I'll be going to 5 o'clock today. We still got like an hour and a half. We got an hour and a half. And then tomorrow, I mean, I start at what, like 10 a.m. today? Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Okay, at 9 a.m. It'll happen. It will totally happen. You can go much longer. Who are we gonna watch without Nick? Well, I gotta go to the gym. I have to stay with my gym routine. But what I might do some like gaming streams. It's gonna depend on the day, depending on if I have anything to do or not. But I might, like, when I'm back from the gym, it's late night, whatever, I might do some gaming streams. We'll see what's up. Maybe I'll do some React streams or something too. I don't know. But yeah, I'll be doing some of that throughout the next couple of weeks while Nick is gone. Did we all see the new Nick Shirley video too about the daycare thing? I've seen the clips. I didn't really know if I want to watch the full thing or not. Yeah, this looks kind of crazy. Let me like this just so I have it bookmarked. Okay, let's dive into the Kai thing though. I do want to check this out after a song request. Where's Lionheart, by the way? Dude, Lionheart has been like grinding or something. Bro has been working like crazy. I might actually have to get a new co-host. I might straight up have to get a new co-host, dude. Like, where is bro? Co-host Hugh wouldn't that be a crazy plot twist? Hugh Anthony Brillium is looking for work? Hugh Anthony or Brillium? Or Veda? Veda? Maybe that's a good option right there. Veda co-host of Future Nation? Holy posture. Dude, I find myself sitting in the most precarious ways at this point in my life. I got one leg up. I got my other leg outstretched. I really got to focus on my posture, dude. I need to, yeah, I need to pull the trigger on a new chair. Totally. I think that will help. I think that'll help a lot. I think that definitely would help a lot. Get a Herman Miller? Yeah, that's the plan. I forget the type of Herman Miller I was gonna get, but I gotta save somewhere. What if we start our own lolcow? No. We're not doing the lolcow drama shit. That is not happening. Nope. Never, ever, ever. Especially at this point. W Sommerquest. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate the 5. Northwest. Be like Northwest. We're hanging up Power Chat Live / Tyler Russell or Sports Stream with Kick Subs or Kicks. Okay, let's dive into the Cam Higby debate.
U.S. rescinds its support, then Israel is just going to have to turn to, some of these other nations that oppose our strategic interests.
We are America first in that we want the best outcome possible for Americans, in the same way that they are Israel first because they want the best outcome for Israel.
I don't think anybody is saying, oh, I support the papacy, so I'm going to become a defense contractor to fight for Christian Nigerians.
We don't give money to Israel. We give weapons to Israel.
No, hold on.
All right, thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you, James.
I kind of brought you guys together. We both know if we watched you guys on social media, you're on different side of a certain
ReawakenUSA?
a certain topic.
I've never heard of
this.
We'll
get into that. But what I'd like to talk about with both of you guys today is the mission right now, right? So I believe that within the past,
where's his helmet?
Year,
where's Cam Higby's
there's been
helmet,
camps that have been formed in the conservative movement.
Bro's brain is
on the other side, the adversary,
right
Satan, his influencers, his agents are completely unified. And they're unified on the idea of opposition against what's good and natural.
Mm-hmm.
I want to start the conversation today by just saying that I believe that we can have discourse on these topics in the body of Christ, while at the same time focusing on the mission that Charlie Kirk put forth. And I believe that as Christians, that we should unite on the same thing that the left does, which is opposition. But opposition.
I really do not like this whole everything orbits around Charlie Kirk's beliefs now on the right wing. Give me a fucking break. Yeah, I don't know how many times I gotta say it. Like, obviously, sad that he died and everything. Like, obviously, that is not good. But this thing that the GOP is trying to do, which is center their politics around what he believed, this whole like martyr thing is it's really, really gay. We're fighting for what Charlie Kirk believed in. What? Are we? I don't really think so, actually. Like, I agree with him on, like, family, vaguely on, like, Christianity, Christian values. I agree with him on, like, pro-life stuff. Even when it comes to immigration, Charlie Kirk was not fully there. Like, we got to be real about that. We cannot let them center the entirety of the right wing around Charlie Kirkism.
Against the adversary, still having the difficult conversations within the body.
Yeah.
All right. In saying that, the topic that I'd like to kind of have today, and I will moderate it. The topic is are whether or not the U.S. should continue to fund Israel, to send money to Israel. And the current state of the influence that Israel allegedly has over our government, our culture, and our movement.
Yeah.
All right. And I'm gonna give Cam the opening statement.
Yeah, sure. I think that our relationship with Israel is very beneficial. I think the question of whether we should continue funding them is totally different. So a lot of Israelis themselves don't want U.S. aid money. Bibi himself, I personally spoke with him about this. He doesn't want the aid money either. He cut civilian aid in the 90s.
Bibi
and they don't want the military aid.
Doesn't even
ramped
want
up
the money
military
himself.
or aid to Israel in general the most was Jimmy Carter. He hates Israel. He wrote a whole book about it. It's called Israel, Peace, Not Apartheid. Why did he do that? It's a leash. They're not allowed to manufacture their own fighter jets. They have to buy ours contractually. we are America first in that we want the best outcome possible for Americans, in the same way that they are Israel first because they want the best outcome for Israel. So we find ourselves in a predicament where if we don't maintain our contractual and military relationship with Israel, they're going to turn to somebody else, namely China. A lot of Israelis wanted to turn to China when Biden was threatening to withhold weapons to Israel. And I don't think that's an absurd feeling to have as an Israeli, in the same way that if somebody was screwing us over at the height of a war, I would hope that we would probably find other clientele to help us out. They were fighting an existential crisis, height of the war, and Biden's like, I'm not sending bombs. And that's not even just about aid. That's just about us exchanging weapons with them in the first place. So I think our relationship with Israel is very beneficial, economically and militarily and strategically. I don't necessarily know how I feel about like giving them the money. I think we get a lot of benefits from it, but in the end, a lot of Israelis don't even want the aid, including the prime minister. And so what I would say is, in that case, what we should do is, if we were to get rid of aid, we should continue our relationship with Israel, of course. But the aid thing is not, it's not like a huge thing for me. I could see it go both ways.
Yeah, I agree to some extent with that. I don't think that the majority of the conversation around Israel ought to be centered only about $7 billion annually in foreign aid. Obviously, that's a drop in the bucket for the United States. But I would say, just to add maybe a caveat to the foreign aid, we see that, obviously, yes, it is the case that it comes through in these weapons contracts, right, where they are required to purchase weapons or, whatever they may need militarily from the United States or from United States, contractors.
Yeah.
The issue is those are companies like Boeing and Raytheon whose top executives are also Jewish and they are Zionist. And so you see a kind of collection of, the contracts going back to Zionists in America who, no matter what, are going to be supportive of, whether it's just militarily or monetarily, they're going to support U.S. involvement and U.S. support for Israel. And so I think there's a problem in coalescing all of that funding into...
Yo, chat, should I get a light pink hoodie? I feel like that might be kind of fire to add to my my fit rotation. JK, it's sold out at Abercrombie. Okay, never mind. Maybe when they restock. Are you getting it because you like it or because you think people will like it? I like the idea. So, Justin Bieber, J Biebs, he's always wearing like that pink hoodie, and I think it's a cool look. It's like you get some like baggy, like light wash denim jeans, pink hoodie, then like the black like fisherman beanie. I think that could be kind of fire. It's not like a hot pink, by the way. It's not like a girly pink. It's not like a vibrant hot pink. It's like a faded pink. It's like a Justin Bieber pink. But it's sold out anyway, so I can't even do it. When it restocks, maybe.
Do the same interests. I will say that regarding this idea, and it's interesting that you brought it up, because I don't think that's a positive argument at all as to our continued relationship with Israel, because you've basically admitted that rather than be kind of a natural ally to the United States, the way that many people have claimed Israel is, that if we were to withdraw this military support from them, or these $7 billion annually, they would turn to our natural enemy, China. You said that.
I don't think that's... Well, of course, yes, but you have to hear out what I'm saying.
I do.
They're Israel first.
Yes.
Because they support what's best for the majority of Israelis.
Yes.
Right? If we were allies with somebody like the UK or something, and we were locked into agreement that obligated us to buy weapons from the UK, and then we got into a war with Russia that we were scrambling to fight and struggling to fight, and then the UK said, we're going to turn the water off, we're screwed. Of course we're going to seek other clientele because we're trying to...
But I don't think the clientele would be a natural enemy to our ideological goals. Well, and China is.
It's not about being a natural enemy. It's about being a massive weapons
But it is because we're...
Also, Kai, I want to say too, respond to one of your earlier points.
I think you're reducing, though, the role of Israel in this relationship. The argument is that it represents an ally in the Middle East that is unlike any of its neighbors. It is a democracy in a sea of barbarism, and you're telling me then that democracy, in order to preserve itself, is going to turn to the opposite of that, which is Chinese communists.
I'm not saying they're going to.
They would. You're saying they would.
No, I'm not saying they would. I'm saying it was discussed among Israelis.
What do you think they would do?
This was considered by the government. I don't know if it was or not. But I've heard this sentiment from Israelis saying, well, if Joe Biden is going to cut off the water to us when we're drowning,
Wait,
then we'll ally
okay, hold up, pause. What is this slop? America's widow.
Honestly, my biggest fear is that if something happens to me, I'm not sure how my wife is going to manage.
Well, like, holy AI. Boomers just be falling for this shit, dude. Like, what? Like, what are we? How do they fall for it?
Honestly, my biggest fear is that if something happens to me, I'm not sure how my wife is going to manage. She's pretty helpless.
America's widow, Erica Keir, KK.
Honestly, my biggest fear is that if something happens...
Dude, okay, whatever.
With the adversary of the United States,
then we'll buy weapons from the adversary.
Oh, we're just getting started. The slop is only going to increase, dude. It's only going to get worse and worse and worse. Especially heading into the midterms, and then it'll kind of cease for a little bit, and then heading into 28, it's going to be, like, so insane.
Lose influence. That's the point.
And then they shift their posture geopolitically to our enemy.
Jewish Zionists being in charge of Raytheon and Boeing. First of all, Boeing changes its CEOs like I change my underwear, so it's never the same. But also, they do have an incentive to sell weapons to Israel, and it's not because they're Jewish, it's because they're defense contractors. Like, of course they're going to want conflict because they sell weapons.
I agree. Yeah, I think we can agree about the military-industrial complex there.
We wouldn't say, if they were run by Christian countries and we started assisting, like, if the U.S. took the position to, like, assist Christians in Nigeria, like, it's not really about, nobody's going to say, well, we shouldn't do that because the CEO of Raytheon's a Christian. Doesn't really, it's irrelevant.
Well, I think the issue goes back to the fact that Christians,
it's about representation. It's about people who are loyal to a foreign government and their overrepresentation in positions of power within our country.
Not trying to funnel money from their companies through which they are, benefiting because they're defense contractors.
Which also just ties into Judaism and what they believe and their ethno ties. It all comes together. These are all factors, but to put it succinctly, they are loyal to another nation above or before America. And therefore, when they're in positions of power, they have biases and they're going to be loyal to Israel over America. I don't even need to say this. We all get it here. But, like, what a retarded argument. Tyler, a year ago, we were drawing Pixar Jews on Grok. Now we've got galactic levels of slop daily. I know. Did we contribute to that? We might have contributed to that a little bit with the Grok stuff. Dude, imagine if I never got banned. Imagine what could have been possible if Elon didn't spurg out and go autist mode.
Actors to Rome. I don't think anybody is saying, I support the papacy, so I'm going to become a defense contractor to fight for Christian Nigerians.
We don't give money to Israel. We give weapons to Israel.
No, hold on. So, this is a distinction without a difference because they have to buy from U.S. manufacturers, and the U.S. manufacturers are Zionists themselves.
Which is not always, right?
Okay, again, are you telling me that the Jewish CEOs of Boeing, Raytheon, and other defense contractors are not looking out for Israeli interests? And do you think that's not a part of their calculus?
I would wager to guess, considering a massive share of their profits come from Israel, probably, yes, they support a U.S. relationship with Israel because they sell weapons to Israel, and Israel needs them, and Israel uses them. And also, so if we sell like a bunch of F-35s to Israel, right? Those F-35s, what do they need? They shoot stuff, right? They need bullets, they need missiles, and stuff to drop out of them, right? So if we give them a bunch of F-15s, let's say with our foreign aid budget, that causes them to spend more money on U.S. companies when they have to buy the ammunition.
Give me one sec, chat.
The amount of money we give to Israel is a very small portion of their total defense budget.
So I think then
insanely
and,
quick.
And again, I didn't want to make this about the foreign aid argument, but you are basically saying that the posture that the U.S. has taken, either through the defense contracts or whatnot, the posture it has taken is directly resulting in a furthering and a perpetuation of the military-industrial complex. I don't think that's uniquely Israeli.
I mean, I find it interesting, this whole new shift of the right against
the military-industrial complex. It's existed since Eisenhower. What do you mean new shift?
You think that we shouldn't? We think it has not been. It's always been more popular on the left to diss the military-industrial complex. Do you think that we shouldn't have a strong military?
Who was
posture?
talking about that claim? Do you want to talk to me about the politics of Dwight D. Eisenhower?
I just think it's weird.
Was Dwight D. Eisenhower a
Democrat?
Democrat?
Huge shift to like hate the U.S. having a strong military posture.
Okay,
we shouldn't.
I think that is an idea that has existed since the 1960s.
Do you think we should?
Have a military? Of course we should.
Strong military posture.
Yeah, and I don't think that requires us to be put in situations geopolitically. Hold on. I do not think that requires us to be put in situations geopolitically where we have an ally that requires our assistance and is going to draw us into a conflict because they know that there is a large Zionist base in the United States that is going to push us into conflicts like the one in Iran. Do you think Israel could have gotten rid of the nuclear enrichment sites themselves? They couldn't. They required United States support.
If you think that the Israelis are forcing U.S. presidents to do anything, I think that's a little absurd. We were not going to.
It's not just the president.
We were not going to get involved in that unless the president of the United States wanted to get involved in it.
Okay. I don't disagree. Hold on. I just want to say I don't disagree with that. I absolutely think there are people complicit in the United States, and I think that, not everybody, by the way, there's not a Jewish U.S. president, but I think that when you reduce it to that, level of analysis, you also disregard the fact that pro-Zionist networking and posturing is a large part of what has changed our geopolitical strategy since the Bush era.
But this is the same with any lobby.
That's not true.
Lobby,
That's not true.
Lawyers lobby,
okay.
The Irish lobby.
Okay, so the Taiwanese lobby, how many times have you seen them around? Do you see a booth? Do you see a Taiwanese booth at this conference? No, you don't. But they are a natural ally of the United States. They just don't have to pay us to agree with them. They are a democracy. They are anti-communist. They are more foreign to us, maybe even than Israel, but still, we ally with them.
Israel, so you're saying anti-communist, whatever, Israel is by definition a natural ally to us because they align with us. Wait, hold up. If you're talking about values, of course Israel is a natural ally to us. First of all, they're positioned in the Holy Land. They're natural enemies. So what one of the first things that Israel did when they established themselves as a country was? They banned communists from the Knesset. Communists are not allowed in the Israeli Knesset. They're banned. They got rid of a lot of the socialist policies they had. And of course, we have another natural enemy, which is the religion that believes in raping children and pillaging villages. Of course, they're on the forefront of that fight. They're the tip of the spear. I don't like using that argument, but just because it's not receptive to people, I think it's very true, and I don't think it's gotten any less true. But it's very it's not receptive to a lot of people. And also, for the record, I think you'll agree with this: the Judeo-Christian values argument is overplayed and shouldn't be used because it's not receptive to anybody. I think it could be true to some degree, but nobody listens to it. And actually, a lot of Christians find it offensive. But if you want to talk about what Israel actually does for the United States, transactionally, there's a lot. For example, Israel votes with the United States in contested UN votes 90% of the time, more than any other ally on the face of the planet, any of our other purported allies. Can
I jump in?
1 second. Let me just get through a couple of these. The Tamar and Leviathan oil fields, for example, in Israel. Are you familiar?
No.
Giant oil fields in Israeli waters. They found the oil. They discovered it. And what did they do? They called America and they sent Noble, which is Dallas-Fort Worth LNG company, to come harvest it all. And then we sold it to the Arabs. And we made our relationship with them better, and Israel's relationship with them better.
Laundry turned over. I got my protein shake for my gym sesh. Gotta get some protein going. Today's a pull day. Had a nice push sesh yesterday. Pushed it pretty hard, and now today we're going to be pulling. We're going to be tugging a little bit.
Are basically an R&D program for our military. F-15s are a great example. They flew F-15s in Lebanon, Syria in the 80s. 80 Russian MiGs at the height of the Cold War. Not a single F-15 lost. And that was a signal to us. We didn't know how good those MiGs were.
These are super fire too, by the way, Chad.
Okay. Our F-15s are pretty
cinnamon
good.
Bun, cinnamon roll.
It's awesome that, the planes are really good, but I think when you talk about
cinnamon roll,
hold on.
Shake,
well, I think when you talk about, Israel voting with the United States, we can look at a very recent history, which was when we required sending out, our foreign ambassador. We needed to send out the vice president of the United States of America to Israel in order to stop them from violating a peace agreement or a ceasefire that the president of the United States had been trying to resolve between Palestinians and Israel. And guess what? What did Israel do while the vice president was on their turf? They held a vote, basically spitting in the face of the president who had said annexation of the West Bank is completely unnegotiable. That will not happen. What did they do? They held a vote and they say, F you. And even Vice President Vance said that was a spit in the face. It was disrespectful.
I disagree with that. I think
you disagree with the fact?
I disagree.
Okay.
I think they should annex the West Bank. I'll tell you why.
Oh, no, hold on. I just want to make sure. I don't I'm not here to argue about whether or not you believe we should annex the West Bank.
Dude, Cam Higby is so spurgy. Like, just that reaction, that literally tells you all you need to know about a person. When they are that spurgy, when they, like, it's just, like, such an ick. Where's his news clip? I'm looking for the Cam Higby news clip where he like had a panic attack on Fox News or whatever. It's that same shit. Here it is. Okay. Like, it's that same, like, autistic, like, panic attack thing.
All intentional. It's Hamas's plan. The problem is that their plan is essentially to spread this propaganda throughout the internet by using... Sorry, guys.
All right, let's go to Ari.
Like,
Cam, get yourself together there, my friend.
The launching of missiles from densely populated urban areas like the Gaza Strip, it essentially, they want people to see what is happening. I'm sorry.
That's all right. Ari, I want to get to this politically.
All intentional. It's Hamas's plan. The problem is that their plan is essentially to spread this propaganda throughout the internet by using... Sorry, guys.
That one, is he like about to like throw up? Bro's about to fucking mag everywhere on live TV.
To spread this propaganda throughout the internet by using... Sorry, guys.
All right, let's go to Ari. Cam, get yourself together there, my friend.
And then get yourself together, like, to add insult to injury.
Sorry, guys.
All right, let's go to Ari. Cam, get...
out the internet by using... Sorry, guys.
All right, let's go to Ari. Cam, get yourself together there, my friend.
Sorry, guys.
All right,
Sorry, guys. Using... Sorry, guys.
All right, let's go. I gotta stop. I literally gotta stop. Damn. Like, okay, like I wonder if he was like actually gonna throw up. He probably was actually gonna throw up. Dude, that would have been so awesome. That would have been so sick if he actually threw up live on Fox News. Oh my gosh. Holy goated clip.
What I said is that they undermined what the U.S. president said, what the vice president was doing in Israel, and absolutely undermined our authority in the region by holding that vote. Do you agree or disagree with that?
A diplomatic negotiation, and they disagreed with him. Is disagreeing?
Yo, bro. Dude, is Vril gonna do it? Is Vril gonna do it, dude? Oh no. Brilliant. But just take Beardson's advice. Just take Beardson's advice. Just change your name, log off. You don't got it. Don't gotta do that, dude. That's a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Spitting in the face?
Yeah, when you hold a performative vote, time for when the vice president of the United States is there.
I disagree with the performative vote. And by the way...
What do you mean? To pass a resolution saying that we're going to do the thing that the United States president... No, that's what a resolution is. If we were saying that, well, it wasn't a big deal because they just passed a resolution... Yes, yeah, okay, go ahead.
So, you're asking me if I think that it's a spit in the face to hold a... I think the symbolic vote is stupid. Yeah, and I think, by the way, Israel's terrible at PR. Like, everyone's like, oh, the Jews are so good at propaganda. They're not. Like,
yeah, they do suck at PR. They do suck at PR.
Actually,
you agree on that?
We agree on that.
So we agree on that. But like, Israel has very legitimate reasons to annex the West Bank. Like, for example, the only reason that any portion of the West Bank is controlled by the PA is because Israel gave it to them out of the kindness of their heart in 1994 with the Oslo Accords.
Gosh, are you in favor or against the Oslo Accords?
Okay. Well, I was in favor of it. Like, I would have been in favor of it at the time. Now I'm against it. I'll tell you what. The reason for that is because it specifically outlines the decorum at which the PA has to behave in, like, I don't know, not doing terrorist attacks. And what happened when they went in 2000 with Bill Clinton to Camp David, Yasser Arafat, and it was Ehud Barak to negotiate that deal. This was the fruition of it. 96% of the West Bank, 4% of Israel, and East Jerusalem as your capital. That's going to be the new Palestinian state. It's a 5-year plan, right? So they have this meeting in 2000. It's about to happen. There's about to be a Palestinian state for the first time ever. And what does...
for the first time ever, I think it's a pretty bold claim.
No, there's never been a Palestinian state. Let me continue. So anyway, there's about to be a Palestinian state in the West Bank for the first time ever. There's never been a Palestinian state. They tell Mr. Yasser Arafat, the terrorist, by the way, hey, dude, like, the main agreement of this is that you can't do terrorist attacks, and you have to police your people so they don't do terrorist attacks either. You have to make sure that your area is, like, well policed of terrorists.
Who's the
Yasser Arafat was
I don't know.
so frustrated
ReawakenUSA
that he left the Camp David negotiation, called his wife Suha, who was in Paris at the time, told her to stay in Paris because he was launching the second Intifada. He launched the second Intifada, killed thousands of Jews, ordered Hamas to do it. They bombed shopping malls, harbors, bars, restaurants. Anywhere you'd find a civilian, nowhere you'd find a military person. Okay, so that happens. The deal is off. Israel, out of the goodness of their heart, maintained the status quo and allowed the Palestinians to still have control of areas B and A of the West Bank. While they're, of course, they own Area C.
Bro
right?
loves that line.
If I was in charge in that situation, like that's America, and like Mexico is doing this. And Mexico is like originally U.S. territory per international law, uti possidentis juris. I'm taking it. Like, I'm not risking that there's a terrorist enclave right next door. By the way, right next to Jerusalem.
Yeah, now that would be dangerous, and you're right. It has caused terrorist attacks. I will say, though, it is interesting how this terrorist cell that's right next door, and especially with the advanced military and the advanced intelligence that Israel has, somehow is able to perpetrate an attack that kills, it is the 9/11 equivalent on Israeli soil, the October 11th attacks, right? This is a terrible thing, but it's interesting to me that was, perpetrated despite the fact that Israeli intelligence is some of the best in the world, and they have the enemies right on the borders. In fact, they are so involucrated, and they are so inside of these terrorist organizations that they literally had bombs set off in phones that they had years ahead of time planted among these terrorist cells.
Yeah. It was undoubtedly an intelligence failure, and I don't know.
That's crazy that there was an intelligence failure that justified further annexation the way you described.
Intelligence failures happen all the time. Pearl Harbor, for example. You think Pearl Harbor was an inside job?
No, I think it wasn't.
Okay.
In certain ways.
How did we not know it was going to happen? Like, obviously, intelligence failures happen, and also,
and I think they can be used as justifications for breaking these kind of rules that you were discussing, like the Oslo Accords and the precedent they set.
Fighting insurgents is very difficult. We've learned that the hard way, time and time again. It's not, especially when these people are operating like in the Stone Age. With Hezbollah,
because they can just sneak past the borders and past the security.
Yeah, of course they can.
Why did you just say it like Basil? Why'd bro just say holy freeze frame, by the way? Holy insane freeze frame? Why did you just say Hezbollah like Hezbollah? Why do you say it so zestily? Bro said that shit so zestily? That's crazy. This is a crazy freeze frame. Just take this in for a sec.
The people cross the border every day.
With hang gliders.
No, they physically cross the border every day.
Okay.
They can come to Israel freely. People don't realize this. It's like before the war, it was like 600,000 people a day.
No. I know that it's not like you don't have a southern border wall. I know how that is.
Yeah.
I know how that is. What I'm saying is that it's ridiculous that you have a 9/11 style terrorist attack perpetrated, and you have one of the most advanced militaries, one of the highest intelligences within the military. And by the way, if you want to compare this to something else, 9/11, yeah, that was also hold on.
Yo, check this out. Candace just very conveniently, she's doing this space tonight with Morgan Ariel, by the way. And she says, hoping all who can join will, including, of course, people who disagree. And she follows that up with, note, automatically disqualified to speak if you were trying to tell the public Charlie got shot by a lone shooter on a rooftop with a 30-06 bullet that was stopped by a magical neck. We just don't have time for that. Sorry. So you're automatically disqualified if you tell the truth. You're automatically disqualified if you're Nick, if you're a groiper, if you believe in reality. Very good stuff. Yeah, only deranged freaks are allowed. Only conspiratards allowed. Nobody based in reality. Can't have that.
Hold on. Yes, that was also an intelligence failure. The issue is that's a big problem. The issue is that there was probably like something malicious in the way that there was an intelligence failure, and I think there was, by the way, on October.
I'm not here to debate like 9/11 conspiracies, but what I'll say is like one thing that like makes this very difficult, and I'm not making excuses for this because like even the Israeli population is pissed about this. But one second, guy.
Okay.
So like a lot of the orders that the leaders of Hamas were issuing to their commanders or the people under them that orchestrated the terrorist attack, like literally written on paper, like and then distributed and then burned. Like I've seen some of them. I've literally held in my hand some of the orders that were recovered. Like they're not like calling people
because their phones explode. and how did that happen?
That was an amazing attack, and it was so clean.
I think this is just like there's this big problem of like this cognitive dissonance of look, there's this really intelligent military and they do these incredible feats planting bombs, within pagers that the terrorists that are next door are doing, and suddenly as soon as stuff gets written down on paper, it's impossible to stop the largest attack on Israeli soil ever.
Well,
I think that is
on pause.
Can I respond real quick to this?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so it's difficult. You're actually making a really good point. And the point is like when you have hyper intelligent intelligence apparatus and you're trying to track somebody who's operating in the Stone Age, it's very difficult to reconcile those two things because over here you're hacking, you're like listening to phone calls, you're tapping lines, whatever, and they're like writing on rocks and throwing them at each other. And see how that's difficult. It's very hard to track.
Oh,
that's an aside point. I was about to make an aside point that I think that is also a good argument as to why the Israeli ramping up of violence is probably inexcusable, because you are dealing with people who literally just don't have the same capacity for violence and murder as the other state does. But that's an aside. I want to make clear just real quick before we wrap up. I want to just wrap up real quick. All of what you just said in no way responded to the original point, which is the U.S. justification for support. You justify the actions of Israel, and you can go about justifying the 40,000 dead, but that is absolutely not going to change the fact that the United States is being thrown into conflicts, being obligated to support by sending military aid that Israel simply does not have, like the ones that were sent in the Iran attacks recently to destroy nuclear enrichment sites. I think that all of those issues, and by the way, the onus is on you to say that this somehow still justifies U.S. support. None of that has been answered. You've just tried to justify further annexation, the breaking of prior peace agreements, and also, by the way, the spitting in the face of the U.S. president and his vice president.
Yeah, so I cited numerous reasons why I think that Israel is a good ally to the United States and our relationship can continue. Like, for example, giving us access to their oil fields. At Tamar and Leviathan oil fields, they let us harvest. I talked about that.
Would you say the same for Qatar? Would you say the same for Qatar?
I respond yet.
Okay.
So the military testing, immense. Israel is undoubtedly in a lot of conflicts because they're surrounded by existential threats. Okay. The F-15 testing that I told you about.
Like,
height of the Cold War. Russia's got these new MiGs hot off the line, and we have no idea how our jets perform against them were we to get in a conflict with Russia. And we gave Israel the F-15s. Who's got the MiGs? Well, of course, the Arabs, because they're working with Russia. So they fly in combat against Syria and Lebanon, our F-15s, and they perform immaculately. And we learned, like, they were the first to battle test the F-35 Lightning II trophy systems on Abrams tanks. They were the first to combat test them. Combat testing is very important. Right now, we are creating robots for them. They're buying them from us. We're not giving them to them. These robots that explore the tunnels. So they knew where every hostage was. They knew where every hostage was in the tunnels. They couldn't extract them safely because the terrorists would kill them, the hostages. But they explored the entire tunnel system. And it was the entire tunnel system. Because of these drones, we would send them the robot, and then they'd be like, oh, this is crap, like it doesn't work. And then They send it back.
All right, the technology's good. We get it. We get it.
So
the technology's cool.
Huge benefit. They back us.
Fighter jets are
more
based.
than any other country. Yeah, it's epic. Right. So, like, combat testing is super important. That's one of the big things that Israel does for us. Tel Aviv is the 4th biggest city in the world for startup
good catch.
industry.
Yeah, we.
Right? So what happens a lot of times, like they make some stuff and we just buy it from them.
They
like,
make some stuff. Very
Mobileye.
good.
It's
Very
the technology
good.
that powers.
This is just like a list of fun facts.
No, it's awesome.
Okay, it can be awesome.
Relationship.
It can be awesome. The technology can be cool. And that still does not warrant.
No, but that's
you know the technological cutting edge stuff that's happening in China? Should we ally with them because it would improve our ability to have access to high tech technology?
Because we're not benefiting from that relationship, or like right now we're not benefiting from their technology, right? Or actually we are to some degree because we get scammed and buy a bunch of crap that comes from China. But like we're not obviously China has a lot of cool technology. Usually it's pretty cheap, but
if I had a list of fun facts about Chinese technology, I'd list them off.
Benefits. Like we get a lot out of our relationship with China. And I think,
he's actually
out of our relationship with Israel.
Freudian slip.
But I think it's not a Freudian slip.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Out of I'm losing my train of thought.
No, my bad.
But yeah, I don't know. I think for you to just write off the.
He's actually just retarded. He can't speak. He's having these panic attacks. Dude. What do we do? Okay, I gotta tussle look at my bangs right now. They're kind of crazy. I gotta tussle my hair.
The like immense amount of military advancement that's come out of Israel in our benefit, I think is absurd. That is like one of the single most important things. And nobody, like, let's be honest, nobody's really in conflict as much as Israel because they have all these neighbors who hate them. They're getting a little better, like Jordan's more friendly now, Egypt, of course.
Because we started giving them more money.
Oh, no, Israel's cool with Egypt because they got into a war. They got absolutely wrecked, and then Israel gave them their territory.
And who became the number 2 recipient of U.S. foreign aid? Egypt. And who was next? Okay. Jordan.
And so what?
And so we're buying off Israel's enemies, and we're rewarding them. You don't think so?
No. The reason that Israel's friends with Egypt now, or like, cool with Egypt, is not because we started giving Egypt aid. It's because there was a regime change. Vice President Anwar Sadat became president after Nasser died.
Yes.
Nasser was a psychopath. Anwar Sadat was more like a nationalist rather than a pan-Arabist, and he wanted, really all he wanted was Sinai back, right? So, I mean, they even tried to give him Gaza, and he was like, so Menachem Begin gave Sinai back, and they were happy, and they've been, somewhat cordial up until now. Jordan has always kind of been like a, they're not really like Islamists, right? They're not jihadists. They're just trying to have like a stable regime there, the Hashemites. And so they've always kind of been more cool with them. Like one of Israel's prime ministers, Golda Meir, literally snuck into Jordan and spoke to the king undercover. She went undercover in Jordan while right before a war, and spoke to him. He's like, "Listen, I don't want to go to war with you guys, but all the other guys around me are going to go to war with me if I don't go to war with you."
Are we on a closing statement, by the way, or is it just? Are we going
on a closing statement? I'm going to make a statement. We're going to go on to the next stop.
I didn't want to cut you off, but I don't know if we were wrapping up or if we were kept going because I was going to jump back in.
Subject. It's okay.
Go ahead. Oh yeah, I guess my closing statement is: look, I mean, there are multiple things mentioned. I think one of the big ones is this talking at the beginning that, well, look, if the U.S. rescinds its support, then Israel is just going to have to turn to some of these other nations that oppose our strategic interests. I think that says a lot about how that they're not a natural ally of the United States. Additionally, additionally, I think the example of Taiwan is great because it is true. Taiwan, has a ton of cutting-edge technology, is a capitalist economy in a sea of communism or ideological communism. Additionally, it is absolutely, postured in a more Western way in a sea of barbarism, the way that people often say about Israel. But it's never been necessary for Taiwan to lobby the U.S. lawmakers in order to get support. It has never been necessary to fly the Taiwanese flag either in the Congress or in the offices of our elected officials in order to convince us that they are a natural ally. It's just something that we
Insurgent Hunter
know.
Just gifted 1 subscription on Kick.
Thank you, Insurgent. Here, I gotta replay that. I had the Poopy Cat prevention system on. Shout out to Insurgent. I appreciate the gifted sub, buddy. Total dub. We are so back.
Insurgent Hunter just gifted 1 subscription on Kick.
Stream with kick subs or kicks. And go.
Oh, and that I actually think we ought to be doing. We ought to support Taiwan. What I will say is that Israel has unfortunately caused the United States to take a posture which I don't think prioritizes Americans. Before the American flag was made illegal to burn, which flag was passed as something that was illegal to burn? The Israeli flag, because it was qualified under hate speech. I think that there are very frequent times in the United States where policies that favor American interests are only acceptable if they first favor the interests of a foreign country or of Jews in America. We can see that in hate speech legislation. We can see that in legislation regarding immigrants or student visas. It only becomes acceptable to cut off student visas or immigration if the people are first anti-Semitic. And it's the same deal with the American flag.
I totally disagree. We are actually going to end on an agreement here because I think that any hate speech law is bogus. There should be any hate speech laws anywhere.
Except it should be illegal to burn the American flag. What would you say to that?
I don't think it should be. It's not illegal. It's well, if you do it inciting a riot.
But exactly, that's correct.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you are like inciting a riot, then like that's already a crime.
Or not even a riot, just in an insightful manner.
I guess if
per executive order,
kill Americans. Yeah, of course. Yeah. But like, so we can end on an agreement there. I don't know. I think we have
what a traitor.
Maybe
what a
missed each other just a little bit on certain things. I of course laid out my case for, and then I have a much longer case, but we're limited on time. For why I think that Israel is a good ally, the benefit that we extract from them, because really allies it's just a way to extract benefit from a country,
right? Kind of holding his ground.
So, yeah, I guess that's
okay.
That's my
so before moving into the next,
in my
next
opinion,
and final
when it comes to
side
Cam
of this
Higby,
debate,
I feel like
I want to ask a question. Can you both agree?
He will just interrupt you with the propaganda.
Can you both condemn Hamas?
Points.
Yeah, and the last elect. Can you condemn
the total retardation?
Can I add to that?
Go ahead.
I think that a major problem, and Cam, I agree with you. I think the flooding of refugees, of Muslim terrorists and refugees into Europe, into America is a big problem. I think, however, a large degree of that comes from destabilization in the region, due, by the way, to the influence of the clean break memo era policy and posturing that has caused destabilization in countries like Libya. Muammar Gaddafi literally warned that that would be the case, and when he was sodomized in the streets and murdered, and look, I'm not going to go out here and say Gaddafi's like, an angel, but it is the case that the destabilization of Libya is what led to the refugee crisis that we have in Europe, and it was stupid governments, the liberal ones like Angela Merkel in Germany, that allowed these refugees to flood Europe and Germany and now England and Scotland and everywhere else.
Yeah, it's a problem. And we'll probably agree on that problem too. It's a huge problem.
Accent.
And you said something in your closing, I just want to respond to your I was kind of like forgetting what you said.
You're fine.
You talked about, I think you were referencing Mahmoud Khalil, who got deported or you threatened because of the what you called anti-Semitism. He was actually so it's illegal for you and me to provide material support to a foreign designated terrorist organization. We would go to jail for that as American citizens. But it very clearly says in your visa agreement, when you come get a visa in the United States, it very clearly says you cannot endorse any terrorist organization. He did that. He was distributing a flyer printed directly from the Hamas media office. It's called Operation Al-Aqsa Flood, Our Narrative. And it is a document.
Was that ever confirmed? I don't think that was ever real. I'm fairly certain that was, Northwest is saying no. I don't think that he was doing that. I think that that's just like a total propaganda point. Because when he was first arrested, they were saying that. But I never saw anything after that to confirm it or whatever. Yeah, it's just like straight up not real. And then there was like there was 6 or 7. No, there was like 8 or 9 other people who got swept up like right after Khalil. And like one of them was just writing like a pro-Palestine op-ed in like the school paper and stuff. So yeah, that I hope that Kai pushes back a little bit on this. Maybe it'll come to him, maybe not. I don't know, but I feel like this is pretty easily fought back against.
Protest. It is a doc. It says Hamas media office right on it, and it is they're what they say happened on October 7th. We didn't kill any civilians. I was literally providing material support.
I think I'm willing even to concede that case. I don't know the specifics that you're mentioning, but I'm even willing to concede it.
That's how it's branded.
If you were willing to concede the fact that there was obviously major structural changes occurring, by the way, directly from the president's desk when he was saying that there is a problem of anti-Semitism on this campus, on these campuses, these Ivy League universities, which caused shifts in the leadership of the universities, the president.
That is true to some degree. I mean,
it is true. That was what was cited.
When I was at UCLA, I went undercover a lot. I don't know if I think you were still on your mission.
Yeah, probably.
So I was in UCLA undercover in their encampment, the big 8 feet walls, keffiyeh on. And I spent a lot of time with those people, walking around as one of them. And I would literally hear people, and I recorded some of it, people saying, let's go find some Jews. Let's hunt down the Jews. Literally saying, let's hunt down the Jews.
Yeah, and that's terrible.
Like, and so that's like a problem. And I watched Jews like be told they were going to be beat up if they don't like go somewhere else. Like you can't walk to the middle of their campus. A Jewish girl got hit in the head with a brick by the encampment people. So that was a real problem. Now, hate speech legislation. I mean, I don't believe in hate crimes or hate speech at all. If you commit a crime, it doesn't matter why you did it, right? No, it definitely. I don't think it really does, right? So like, if I murder you right now, and I'm like, I don't know, a black guy or Indian guy, whatever, I'm different race than you. I murder you, and it's because I hate you. I did the same thing as if I murdered you because you like we had some drama or something, right? It's the same. Either way, I killed somebody.
I'm willing to hear you on that.
So we are bleeding into the final side. So I'm gonna ask this.
What is bro fucking yapping? Intention can be different. That's not the right. That's the most retarded dude. Can obviously be different intentions for murder. Like, yeah, I'm against like hate speech laws and stuff like that, but if you're like killing somebody, it can be hate motivated. There's the crimes of passion, right? Where like people will like kill their cheating wives or whatever. There's like road rage, like there's different intentions behind the murder. Doesn't make it this he's actually retarded.
SS. Okay, so what we've seen both in the conservative conservative movement and in culture in general is that there's a side of the conservative movement that's they're saying it's anti-Semitic. They're saying hates Jews, wants them dead, wants them out of our society. And then we have the other side that's saying that this side, hates Jews, wants them dead, wants them out of society.
Yep.
Can we agree that hatred and violence against the Jewish people should be condemned?
Absolutely. And I would say, if you don't mind me starting with this, I think it's actually very interesting to see the right-wing supposed anti-Semitism versus the left-wing supposed anti-Semitism. It's like, you see left-wing anti-Semitism, and yeah, I was at UC Irvine. They brought out a paper mache version, like looked like a piñata.
Irvine is where I found that flyer.
Yeah. It's like they brought out a paper mache version of like the dean of one of the colleges, and I was like, are they like insinuating they're gonna like beat this guy to death? Like, obviously, left-wing anti-Semitism, because it is left-wing, takes on a more violent stripe. And I think that's probably the most disingenuous thing that people are saying is there's a conflation of like this left-wing anti-Semitism, which often breeds, like hate, and right-wing, criticism of of Israeli or Zionist perspectives in the Republican or kind of MAGA coalition, which right-wingers see as disastrous or against the American interest. I think they're very different. It's a different framing.
And by the way, most Israelis don't know.
Yeah,
like I mean, talking to like some like pretty high level people, they're convinced the right and the left hate Israel for the same reason. It's totally different. And there's a lot of truth to what you're saying. I think the difference is that I think the right, actual anti-Semites they hate Jews because they're Jews, right? The left hates them because they think they are something that they're not, like fascists, right? They're racist, fascist, whatever. And to them, that's justification for violence. So it's already ideological, which will breed violence more often than not.
Yeah, and that breeding of violence is terrible. It's like the big thing to remember from the right-wing perspective, right? It's like you should never allow these opinions or these sentiments to breed into cruelty. Like it really is just not acceptable to go up and just harass somebody because they're Jewish. That is something that unfortunately I do see, and I think it is cringe, because it actually undermines exactly what we're hoping to do, which is say that look, there's the real reason to oppose Israel. And yeah, we're not.
Kai is not wrong, but the definition of harass in what he just said is going to be widely different from what Cam Higby thinks is harassment, right? Like when Kai's saying that, Kai's thinking of like the blood tribe, or like that's what I think. I mean, I have the same take. I don't think that the right wing should just be like, you see like a Jewish guy in the street, I'm going to go harass, I'm going to go call him a Jew or whatever. Obviously that is cringe. Same with black people, running up to a black person saying the hard R. That's fucking cringe. That's just dumb. But Cam Higby would think that harassment in that sense would be something like having a pro-Palestine protest. Cam Higby would think that harassment would be like talking about the overrepresentation of Jews within our government. There's a wildly different definition there that Cam Higby can now be like, oh, yeah, I agree with that statement too. But he's thinking of something totally different. He's thinking of totally different scenarios, right?
Not crazy. Like, we are not.
Yeah, you can have legitimate criticisms of Israel. Just like you can have legitimate criticisms of everything. Every idea should be engaged with. Yep. Unless you're just like, you just hate Jews.
It's the Jews.
I can't.
And then right there, you can have disagreements with Israel, but he didn't say anything about criticizing Jews, right? And that's something that we do need to do. We have to criticize Jewish people as a group, not just the country of Israel, not just the government of Israel, like the left says. It is their ideas. It is their beliefs that they hold that then influence what they do when they're in power. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm finding I'm a little bit surprised that Kai isn't catching on to what Cam's doing. I mean, it's also in the heat of the moment too, right? They got cameras in front of them, like, it's a bit different when you're sitting there, obviously. But Cam is totally like speaking a different tongue right now. And I'm sure that if Kai went back and watched, I'm sure that he would see it. But yeah, bro is speaking a totally different tongue right now, dude. And he's playing it off as if like, oh, they're in agreement. He is not in fucking agreement at all. Thinking of something totally different.
I have to debate with you. Like, I can't debate about whether or not you hate Jews. Yeah.
Okay, so going to culture. Okay, so like there's been a lot of speculation and conspiracy about the Jews and Israel. It's the Jews, it's Mossad. There's a lot of conspiracy on both sides. When it comes to culture, with like Israel taking over our culture, taking over the movement, the conservative movement, everyone's been compromised, bought, and paid for. What are your guys' takes on that? I'm going to start with you, Cam.
Well, it happens on both sides, actually. It's like really silly. It's like, if Kai and I are like the generic pro-Israel and anti-Israel guys, like, he's going to say I'm paid by Israel. I'm going to say he's paid by Qatar. It's like so stupid. It's like, in reality, it's never true.
And admittedly, I think that's worse. It's like, I kind of like when you tell some of these influencers, no offense to Brandon Tatum, when you tell them like, look, I think you're paid by Israel, sometimes it's almost like in order to excuse your action. It's like, look, if you are getting $7,000 or whatever the value happens to be, that's more like, that makes more sense than you just going so hard for Israel without any kind of dog in the fight. I will say there are some influencers among, or among them, there's Emily Wilson, Emily Saves America, and then there's other ones like, who was it recently? Rob Smith as well, who have taken trips to Qatar. Yeah. And I look at that and I say, hey, you should just probably stick with your guns. If you're going to be a Zionist, be a Zionist. If Qatar starts...
I just got a piece of like chunky like protein powder. Am I going to die? Throw the whole thing away. It's not even close to being. I got another over a year. Bro, throw up now? Okay, chill. I'm cooked. I'm gonna die. It's fucking over. You tried the salted caramel cream cold brew yet, Tyler? I did the same stream that you recommended it. It honestly, it kind of missed. I don't know. Maybe they just like made it bad. Yeah, I think that there's way yummier things at Starbucks. It wasn't my favorite. I mean, it was good. It was just like, it wasn't like, yo, I'm gonna order that again kind of thing. The cookie butter latte was yum this morning. Dude, I'm telling you. The cookie butter at Dunkin' goes nuts. It goes crazy.
paying you money. That's not good either, okay?
You can stream from both.
Yeah, like hold on. You're doing the dual loyalty. Like, what's going on?
Dual loyalty outside of the U.S.
Exactly, bro. It's like now U.S. loyalty isn't even a part of it anymore.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So,
yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, I think it's just silly. It's a way for people to just write each other off, which is not what we should be doing. We should be having the conversation.
I agree.
You know, we're never going to get to the bottom of the issues unless we talk to each other. I'd have to just, oh, you're like a paid shill, or you're paid for, or where's your handler, like all that stuff. Because, you know, it just goes both ways. One side picks it up and the other side just starts doing the same exact thing.
Yeah.
It's just silly.
I will say though, it's like some of this stuff is legit. It's like, you know, there are Zionist or Jewish interests though that do obviously have a stake in the game with things like Larry Ellison's purchase of TikTok. And there are corresponding changes to algorithms that are going out of their way to censor more the hate speech against Jewish people than it was censored prior, than it had been specifically enumerated prior.
I don't know very much about that at all, but yeah, so I can't really argue against.
That's fair. That's fair.
But I don't really know anything about it.
Okay, so
I don't really know anything about it. Why does he talk like that? Why does he say things like that?
I close this out. I just kind of want to ask the both of you. Do you guys think that we can have conversations like this, both privately and in front of a camera, and still work towards the mission, discipling the next generation, rooting out corruption, and standing against the adversary? Do you think that can happen?
You can go first. I've been
shake guys' hand every time I see him.
yeah.
No. I think rational adults can have these conversations, both in private and in public, in front of cameras or not, and not, you know, like wring each other's necks. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people in our movement and in other movements that have low impulse control and don't have a handle on their emotions. But yeah, I mean, most rational people, I think, can have this conversation. I mean, we've talked in private about it. Yeah. Or I talked to a lot of people in private about it. A lot of my friends are anti-Israel. A lot of them are pro-Israel. You know, we don't have to be jerks to each other.
Yeah, and I think yes, but I will say for the right wing, it is important that we begin to realize that, look, there are two factions of the right, and there's one that is willing to leave the right wing or the Republican Party because it no longer, or because it represents an interest that is, you know, foreign to the United States or negative to the United States. And I think that concern comes out of legitimate interest for the American best interest. But there's another faction of the right that is willing to leave or destroy the party if it stops doing enough for a foreign nation. And I think that is not equally representative of American interests. So I do think that is something that needs to be resolved. But yeah, I think it can be done maturely, and I think it needs to be done.
Yeah. I personally don't feel that.
Yeah, there's a big difference between refusing to support the GOP because they're not America first enough versus they're not big tent enough, or they're not pro-Israel enough. Obviously, major difference there. And these pro-Israel people will say that, you know, like it's anti-American because then you're just handing it to the Democrats, all the boomerisms. But anybody with a head on their shoulders understands that refusing to cooperate with leaders or the party in general when they're not being pro-America enough is way more rational than when it comes to support for a foreign entity. Like, I wonder what he's going to say to that. I mean, I could see him just spewing the propaganda.
But yeah, I think it can be done maturely, and I think it needs to be done.
Yeah. I personally don't feel that there's anybody on the pro-Israel side that would like burn everything to the ground if Trump stopped supporting Israel. I've never heard that sentiment from anybody. I certainly wouldn't do it.
Like all of the Jewish donors are going to go support the Democrats, for one.
Wouldn't be happy about it, and I would, of course, make my voice heard, but I've never heard that sentiment.
I would say...
Yeah, like literally Ben Shapiro, Ackman.
It's not the politicians.
Hello.
You're not going to hear that from a lot of candidates, but you will hear it from the donors and from the ideologues and the think tanks that created the neoconservative movement, because they were former Democrats. They were the ones who said, well, look, you know, the geopolitical strategy of the Democrats is not advantageous to Israeli interest, and so we're going to form a coalition with right-wing interests, which we think can be won over because they are more interventionist or they're more willing to fund our fight. And I think that is where you're going to see that influence.
I've talked to a lot of people. I've never heard that sentiment. And also, I mean, like, until recently, and even still now, most Jews are Democrats. They're liberals, right? I mean, they're coming in now because they feel that they're people.
Not in the Knesset, though.
What do you mean not in the Knesset?
Like, the Knesset has, like, the Likud party has the majority.
Sure.
And obviously the interests that are being represented in Israel are not these democratic or socialist ideas.
No, not anymore.
They are Israel first, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
And by the way, I don't think that's wrong.
So
they're Israeli.
And that's why I try to tell people is like, you really have to like, when we're talking about like Israel potentially turning to China or that thought crossing people's minds, it's not because they're not a natural ally to us or they don't want to be allies with us, but when you have a dude who's asleep at the wheel threatening to withhold military aid at the height of a war, you're not really left with much options. If we were at the height of a war that was an existential threat to us, and somebody said, we're going to cut off all of your weapon supply, we are going to have to find somebody else so that our people don't die. And that's exactly how a lot of Israelis felt. They're like, they're also mad at Biden, obviously, because he's an idiot. And they felt, a lot of Israelis felt there was no choice. Now, I don't. That's probably not a conversation that was discussed at high level, but I've heard it from other people. Thank God Trump got elected. Like, I was really thinking we were going to have to turn to China to get weapons so that we could get our way through this war. But inevitably, of course, it didn't happen, and Trump got elected.
God bless Donald J. Trump for
thank you,
supporting
Cam.
Netanyahu.
Thank you guys.
And
Appreciate the
Israel.
combo. Thank you, James.
Right?
Thank you.
Legend.
Great.
All right.
We gotta debate USS Liberty.
I'm done. I still got to read up on it. I got to get all the intricacies.
I talked.
Okay, that was interesting. I like that. Yeah, Kai totally won. Cam Higby, he was just like retarded the whole time. But it was interesting. I feel like that's probably a good length for like these types of debates. We see like some of these people, they'll go on for like 2 hours, and it's like, dude, I cannot listen to Cam Higby for 2 hours. He could have won harder, though. He could have. You're not wrong on that, but Kai still owned him. Kai still won. Yeah, bro, Cam Higby, he actually is so stupid, it's unreal. Every time I see him, it surprises me.